All right, here are my 4 predictions. Caleb, you can tell me if you agree or disagree. What I would like to put up on the poll question, though, is who will be Tennessee's defensive star? And Caleb, if you can get to that, then we will go ahead and get that started. But here we go. It is time for first down. As always, our good friend Cooper Mays, who I'll visit with this afternoon for you, says,
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
We'll do it, Coop.
Coop here. First down.
All right, first down is this. James Pierce will have 3 tackles for a loss at a minimum. I believe Pierce only played 10 snaps against Chattanooga for a reason, to keep him fresh long-term. So he's incredibly fresh. He also dropped into pass protection a lot. I think that was showing NC State that, and I don't think they needed to kill Chattanooga's quarterback either. So James Pierce, minimum 3 tackles for a loss, and I wouldn't be surprised 2 sacks.
I can see that, particularly given how, like I said, all the horizontal plays they run, they give up a lot of tackles for a loss. So I could see James Pierce finally getting able to eat some lunch on this one. And when I say eat lunch, I mean a sack lunch, Wedding Crasher style. Num, 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 num. Who remembers that?
Barely.
But I think James Pierce goes off this week too. I think James Pierce goes off, but I think a lot of the front 7 can go off.
All right, Coop, what down is next?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
It is. All right. Squirrel White will reel in over 100 receiving yards and a touchdown. Here's why I think that. I think Tennessee worked the outside receivers to, again, give NC State something to look at, and then they'll rely more on the slot, a la Jalen Hyatt in 2022. I still believe that's where Tennessee ends up as an offense, but I think you'll see it early in this game. And it will depend on what opposing teams do down the line to determine if Tennessee continues to rely on the slot. But that's what this offense is built to do, is get the slot receiver open and put the safety in a bind.
I'm totally with you on that. I mean, I said Squirrel White's the most important ball to watch. I mean, this dude is going to go off. I mean, a lot of that was how Chattanooga rolled coverage last week. And I think also Heupel, part of this was trying to keep people happy. You wanted to get Dante Thornton and Brew McCoy kind of worked and involved in because they were coming off injury. I think this is the game where Squirrel White's just going to go absolutely bonkers. I mean, Dave, you might see 150, 200 yards. Could we see a Jalen Hyatt game? I'm just saying.
Oh, I don't think he's going to be in the game that long.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
All right, third down, and you can read this at offthehooksports.com. Tennessee will score another special teams touchdown. Caveat, or at least set one up. I think there will be a blocked kick, a blocked punt, or the return game. We'll get it deep into NC State territory, either via punt or kick return. But here's the reason I think so. I'm not just throwing a random pick out there. Is I believe special teams are best when you have the best talent. You're looking for those guys that are 6'2", 6'3", around the 210, 220 pounds that can run. And I believe Tennessee has more of those guys playing special teams than NC State does. So I believe they will make another big-time play on special teams. Caleb?
Yeah, that's a big one. I can't go with you on that. I'm playing percentages. A special teams touchdown 2 weeks in a row is crazy to me. So like that, just by the nature of percentages, I really can't sit there and say they're going to score one. But I don't blame you for thinking that. I think they actually put emphasis on special teams. Maybe you know more about this than I do, but it seems like they really do say, hey, it reminds me of Urban Meyer. Remember how much emphasis Urban Meyer put on special teams at Florida?
He did. And I think Tennessee has. I just don't think they've had the talent to run guys out there and risk them at their natural position, which could be defensive end or could be wide receiver or could be whatever. I don't think they've used those guys or had the depth to use guys with like talent. So my prediction coming up in 30 seconds, the show represented by Banks and Jones. Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
Darn right. All right. I have Tennessee winning this football game 52-17. Not even close. I believe.
Wow, you really you gave away your pick. Gave away the suspense tomorrow.
Well, it's on line. So a 52-17 will be my prediction. I'm not asking you to make yours. I'm just curious what you think about that prediction now that we have a chance to hash it out.
Having studied this a little bit more, I understand why you are so high on them winning in that level of a blowout. I can't take that leap yet. I need to sleep on it, Dave. Really, I'm not joking either. I mean, I really need to sleep on it because it's just, again, Tennessee still, I do think they have chemistry advantages and things like that, but there's a few spots where they're still kind of working out some kinks, and this is a Power 5 team to start the year where they're working out some kinks. So I do think it's a little bit trickier. I could see some mistakes being made. That's why it kind of reminds me of the Pitt game a couple of years ago, but this Tennessee team is better than that Tennessee team. And I don't know, do you think the NC State team is worse than the Pitt team was 2 years ago?
Yes.
Or do you think they are? You think they're worse?
Yeah, that was a tough physical football team. That team was also a tough matchup because they had lighter defensive linemen. Coop told us that last year.
That's actually very true. And what's one of the great points you make is that's how Pat Narduzzi builds that program, is he focuses on the defensive line more than anything else, i.e. Aaron Donald.
Talking about one of the best defensive tackles and one of the most athletic in the history of the game.
Right, and that's how he focuses things. And you're right, if you're a team that's still trying to figure out a couple of kinks, a physical team like that's the one that can give you the most type of hell, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the Pitt game is substantially, heading into it, more difficult than the NC State game, the Pitt game in 2022. It might be as important because if Tennessee does stumble and I'm wrong, then the Tennessee players' point of that Pitt game is the game that they came together on. So if I'm wrong, this could be a longer season than we thought, but I don't think I am. The UPS store in Hardin Valley, they're there to help individuals and small businesses by offering a wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated, conveniently located. They're at 10629 Hardin Valley Road. The link is right down below, 10629 Hardin Valley Road. Now, my question is, if it's not Squirrel, could it be Chaz Nimrod playing some of the slot? I want to go back to one of my projections. Should I have just said slot receiver because of the way they might substitute in between drives, Caleb?
Well, do you think they would put anybody in the slot? Do you think they would put Dante Thornton in the slot before or Chaz Nimrod in the slot next? Because I feel like Chaz Nimrod is way more of a wideout. I think he's just too. I put Brazel in the slot before Nimrod. I think Nimrod is just too slow.
I think Brazel's going to, I believe, play outside. I think Thornton. Well, I don't think we had him on. I know that he knows how to play the slot, so he could slide in there, and that would be very valuable. I just can't tell you for sure that who that's. I can't tell you for sure if Tennessee's really going to take 3 receivers out and put 3 receivers in between drives in a game versus a good opponent. I think that's easy to do against Chattanooga, and it's easy to say that beforehand. But when you really are, let's say it's middle of the 3rd quarter and it's closer than I think, don't you want Brew McCoy out there? Are you really going to sub him out when it matters?
No, you're not. You're not. That's a very good point. I mean, you can't do that. I totally agree with you. But yeah, I don't think you're going to sub out Squirrel White. I think Squirrel White's going to be the guy that the dude is just too good. And I thought they disrespected him last year by trying to force Dante Thornton into the slot. I thought that was unfair. I thought Squirrel White he's been amazing for Tennessee. And honestly, he made a lot of physical catches last year that defy his size. So I've always been a fan of his for that reason.
Yeah, he's on the freak list, which is the best speed combination. Who puts that together? It's the top 50 in
It's
the.
the Athletic. I forget the person, but it's the Athletic who puts it together.
Who was the other Vol one? Was it Pierce?
It was Pierce. Pierce was a freak.
They missed a lot.
Speaking of, you ready for the poll question, the results? Because they're a little bit surprising, Dave.
Yeah, let's get to that poll question. What do we got up there?
All right, who will be Tennessee's best defensive star versus NC State? Now, James Pierce, no shock, is leading, but believe it or not, he only has 50%. And I think that's the surprise because I put Keenan Peely in at 22%. I put Arian Carter in at 3%. And Dave, I threw in Boo Carter, and he's second at 25%. So our listeners and our viewers believe that Boo Carter could push James Pierce for the biggest star in the game on Saturday.